Welcome to the place where your imagination is no longer dismissed as fantasy, but honored as the divine creative force it truly is. If this is your first time here, know this isn't just another motivational video. This is a cinematic journey into the forgotten power that lives inside you. A journey into the teachings of Neville Goddard, modernized for your world, your struggles, your dreams. Here, we don't just talk about changing your life. We show you how to feel it, live it, and become it. In today's message, you're about to learn the exact technique Neville taught, the same method that allowed him to manifest travel without money, love without effort, homes without plans. A real step-by-step awakening to the truth. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. So if you've ever felt stuck in the gap between who you are and who you know you're meant to become, this message is for you. Before we begin, take a moment to subscribe and join this growing movement of conscious creators. And when the message stirs something deep in your soul, pass it forward. Share it with someone you love, because what you're about to hear has the power to change a life. Now close your eyes if you wish. Breathe and let us begin. There comes a moment in every soul's life when it finally realizes that the world it sees is not the cause but the effect, that the conditions it struggles against are not prisons imposed from the outside, but mirrors reflecting the inside, that all along it was the dreamer behind the eyes, the imaginer of life, who held the pen. Not the world, not fate, not chance, but you. It begins as a whisper, quiet, almost imperceptible, a strange knowing that perhaps, just perhaps, your imagination is more than idle daydreaming, that maybe, this whole time, you weren't meant to react to life, but create it. And once you hear it, once you feel it, you can never unhear it again. This is the beginning of awakening. Neville Goddard once said, "Imagination is the only redemptive power in the universe." Not willpower, not action, not the sweat of your brow, but the imaginative act, the inner experience of already being what you seek, that is the force that reshapes the outer world. But here's the part most never understand. It's not enough to simply think of what you want. You must learn to think from it. This is the shift, the sacred move, the invisible line between wanting and being. To think of something is to keep it at a distance, to desire, to long, to wish. But to think from the end, that is creation. That is assumption. That is the secret behind miracles. Let's not make it mystical. Let's make it real. Suppose you want a home, a sanctuary, a place of peace, comfort, and love. But maybe right now you have no money, no resources, no idea how it could happen. The rational mind screams impossible, but that doesn't matter, because your imagination doesn't operate by logic, it operates by belief. So what do? You enter the state. You build it within. You don't wait for the outer world to approve. You assume it to be done, and you feel it as if it were already yours. You lie down at night, not with a mind filled with worry, but with a heart filled with assumption. You imagine the bed, the floor beneath your feet, the walls around you. You touch the furniture with your mind's hand. You walk through each room in silence, and you feel the weight of your body in that imagined home. And in that state, you fall asleep. Why sleep? Because it is the bridge between conscious and subconscious. It is the moment where resistance weakens, and the seed of your assumption drops deep into the soil of being. And then, you don't chase, you don't beg, you become. This is not passive. This is the most powerful act a human being can perform. And it works for anything: a job, a partner, a healing, a calling, a future. You ask yourself, not how can I get it, but what would I feel if it were already done? That's the only question. What would I do? What would I say? What would I wear? How would I breathe? How would I move through the world if I knew that what I long for is already mine? And then you live in that mood, not for 5 seconds, not as a wish, but as a new state of being. You wear the ring in your imagination. You feel the promotion in your bones. You speak the words of someone already transformed. And you sleep as the one you desire to be. It is not fantasy. It is faith. Because faith is not hoping for something to come. Faith is assuming that it already has. And if it sounds too simple, it's because truth always is. You've been taught that effort is everything, that you must strive, push, and grind your way to success. But there is a greater power, a quieter power that few ever use. The power to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and let that assumption reorganize the circumstances of your life. It does not matter what your senses report. It does not matter what the bank account shows. It does not matter who said no, because all of that is just the echo of your old state. The moment you shift internally, reality begins to catch up. You see, the world is not fixed. It is fluid, alive, responsive. And it is always, always responding to who you are being. That's the true law of assumption. Not a trick, not a shortcut, but a spiritual law as real as gravity. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are.
So, who are you right now? Not in words, in state. Do you carry lack, or do you carry abundance? Do you walk as one who is searching, or one who is found? Do you think of love, or do you feel loved? Because this universe listens not to your words, but to your vibration, and the vibration is always shaped by your inner conversations. What are you assuming when no one is watching? That's the real work. You can attend seminars, read books, listen to speeches, but if in the silence of your own mind you are still assuming lack, doubt, and fear, you will continue to experience them. Not because life is punishing you, but because it is reflecting you. There is no outer without the inner. There is no condition that did not begin in imagination. Everything is first a state. And the beautiful truth is, you are always free to change your state. In any moment you can stop, close your eyes, and step into a new reality. Not by force, but by feeling. Neville said, "Man moves in a world that is nothing more or less than his consciousness objectified." That is the eternal law. You are not stuck. You are not waiting. You are not broken. You are only unaware. But awareness changes everything. Awareness is the key that unlocks every prison. Not awareness of the facts, but awareness of your own state. That subtle, sacred awareness of where your consciousness is dwelling right now. Because wherever you dwell, in thought, in feeling, in assumption, That is where your life is being built. You are not the facts of your life, you are the formless cause behind them. You are the projector, not the film, the author, not the page. So I ask you again, what are you assuming? Are you assuming you're always struggling? Are you assuming you never get chosen? Are you assuming that life is hard, money is scarce, love is distant, purpose is unclear? Then that is the world that rises around you. But not because it is true, because you have made it true, and you can unmake it just as easily. This is not positive thinking, this is not delusion, this is creation. Creation by consciousness. Neville taught that the only way to change your outer world is to die to the old state and rise in the new, not by changing things, but by changing self. The old self must die, the one who believed it wasn't possible, who bowed to evidence, who lived in fear. And the new self must rise, not as a concept, but as a living vibration. You can't fake it, you must become it. Become what? The version of you who already has what you desire. Not tomorrow, not when the money shows up, not when they say yes. Now. That's the shift. That's the only work. And it happens in silence. In the moments when no one sees. In the stillness of your own being. That's where the true transformation occurs. So, if you want change, stop trying to change the outer. Change the inner conversation. Change the state from which you live. Change the assumptions you make about who you are. It's not enough to want more, you must assume more, and that assumption must feel real, sensory, solid. That's why Neville always said, give it all the sensory vividness you are capable of. Feel the chair in your new office. Hear the sound of your lover's voice. Smell the sea outside your window. See the number in your bank account. Taste the food in your new kitchen. Make it real within. Because whatever becomes real within must become real without. That's not wishful thinking. That's divine law. The subconscious does not argue. It accepts what you feed it with feeling.
And once accepted, it begins the invisible process of rearranging the world to match it. You don't know how. You're not supposed to know how. You only need to know what, and assume that it's already done. The bridge of incidents will come. The people will appear. The phone call, the job, the opportunity, the healing, the open door. And it will all feel natural, so natural that you might even be tempted to say, well, this would have happened anyway. But don't be fooled. It happened because you changed states. It happened because you dared to assume. This is what separates the awakened from the asleep. One reacts to the world, the other creates it. You are the cause. You are the center of your own universe. But until you own that, the world will keep pushing you around. You'll keep playing the game of effect, never touching the cause. You'll work harder, try more, chase endlessly, and still feel stuck, because effort without assumption is just movement without power. But when you assume correctly, even stillness creates motion. You may be lying in bed, eyes closed, barely moving a muscle. But in that stillness, kingdoms shift, doors open, people call, answers arrive. Why? Because you moved in consciousness, and that's all that ever moves the world. There's no out there, out there. There's only reflection. And when you master the reflection, you stop fearing the mirror. You become unstoppable, not because the path is easy, but because you've already arrived. You live in the end. That's the key, to dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled. not visit it, not hope for it, but abide in it, to carry it like a garment, to feel it like a second skin, to wake up and remember not that it might happen, but that it already has. That is the true meaning of faith. Faith is not a fragile hope. Faith is a knowing, a quiet, powerful conviction that what you desire is already yours. Even when the world says otherwise, even when nothing has changed, especially then, because anyone can believe when things look good. But creation begins when you believe in the unseen, when you hold the state despite appearances. When you say, "It is done," and refuse to move, that's the moment the universe bows. That's when the invisible machinery begins to turn, because you didn't just ask, you became. You stepped into the assumption, you wore it, you owned it, you claimed it as your truth, and the world had no choice but to follow. Because the world is a faithful servant to your inner master, you. So if you feel lost, don't chase clarity, assume it. If you feel broke, don't chase money, assume wealth. If you feel lonely, don't chase love, assume you are already loved. And if you feel powerless, assume you are divine, because you are. You are the operant power, not a victim, not a mistake, not a bystander. You are imagination itself, and imagination is God. When you know this, truly know it, you'll stop begging, you'll stop needing permission, you'll stop waiting for signs, and you'll start creating them. You'll walk through life as a master, not because everything is perfect, but because you no longer look outside for proof. You carry the proof within. You feel it, you see it, you know it. And when you know it within, it must come without. It's only a matter of time. But even time bends to the one who lives in the end. So what is your end? Not your goal, not your desire, your end. What is the final scene of your movie? And are you living in that scene now? If not, begin. Close your eyes, step into it, feel it, not lightly, not like a wish, like a memory. Call upon every sense, every feeling, every detail, and sleep in that state, because what you feel as true becomes your truth. Not by chance, not by force, but by law. This is the unshakable foundation of all manifestation. The assumption of the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It is not a concept, it is a spiritual practice. A sacred ritual you perform in the theater of your own soul. And the more you live from that feeling, the more the world will bow to your vision. So don't ask when will it happen. Ask, how deeply can I feel it now? Can you feel the applause before the performance? Can you hear the laughter before the meeting? Can you rest in the arms of your beloved before they arrive? Can you live in the wealth before it touches your bank? Because that's the only proof the universe needs. Once you feel it fully, the rest is already on its way. It's not magic, it's alignment. And yet to most it will look like a miracle. You'll hear people say, "How did it happen so fast? Where did that come from? You're so lucky." But it wasn't luck, it was law. The law of consciousness, the law of assumption, the eternal truth that you become what you believe yourself to be. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you no longer need the world to change, that's when it does. When you no longer chase the thing, it chases you. Because you've shifted. You're no longer trying to manifest, you are the manifestation. You're not speaking as the seeker, you're speaking as the found. You're not hoping, you're remembering. Remembering who you really are. A creator, a dreamer, a divine spark wrapped in human skin. Your imagination is not a toy. It is the sacred power of God within you. When you imagine something with feeling and persist in that assumption, you are planting a seed. And that seed, when watered with faith and emotion, must bloom. Not might, not maybe, must. But like any seed, it blooms in silence. You don't dig it up every day to check. You don't panic when nothing sprouts immediately. You trust. You live as though it's already growing, because it is. The same is true with your desire. Once imagined vividly, once assumed to be yours, you let it go and live as though it were already done. You don't beg, you don't question, you don't plead with the universe. You move as the one who has received. You shift your posture, you shift your breath, you shift your inner conversations, and the world shifts with you. Because reality is not a thing, it is a mirror, and your assumption is the reflection it obeys. So, assume boldly, assume beautifully, assume like someone who remembers their power, even when doubt whispers, even when logic resists, even when the world says, that's not realistic. Because what is realistic anyway, if not someone else's belief? This is your world, and you are not here to fit in. You are here to create. You are not bound by statistics. You are not limited by the past. You are not subject to other people's doubts. You are free. Free to assume, free to feel, free to create a new life, beginning now. So, tonight, when you lay your head on the pillow, do not replay the old day. Do not rehearse the same limitations. Step into the scene, the one where it's already yours. See it, feel it, move in it, sleep in it, touch the ring, hear the ocean, taste the celebration, feel the joy, not as a future, but as a memory, because the subconscious does not know time. It only knows truth, and what you feel is true becomes true. This is the path, the method, the portal. It's not about doing more, it's about being more within. That's why Neville said, change your conception of yourself, and you will automatically change the world in which you live. The change is you. You are not the product of the world. You are the power that shapes it. And once you truly understand this, you'll never beg again. You'll never doubt again. You'll never shrink to fit someone else's mold again. You'll rise. You'll speak differently. You'll walk with a quiet certainty. Not because you're arrogant, but because you remember you are God, imagining. You are the Word made flesh. You are the silence between the notes and the music that follows. So what will you assume today? Will you assume fear or freedom? Will you assume delay or destiny? Will you assume you are waiting or that you've already arrived? Choose wisely. Because assumption is the soil in which your life is planted. And today can be the day you plant something new. So pause now. Close your eyes. Breathe in the truth. You are not your past. You are not your limitations. You are not your doubts. You are the one who imagines. And whatever you persist in assuming must be. So go now.
Assume as if it were done. Live as if it were done. Give thanks as if it were done. And watch as it is done. This is the power. This is the path. This is who you really are.